am joined by Raquel. Okay, I guess we're a go. I can't see or hear anyone, so I'm assuming you can all hear me. My name is, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on the side, so I guess we can. I hope you're enjoying this experience with Remo. We were just talking about it on our table. It's pretty freaking cool. I'm not here to introduce Raquel Malaga, so she'll figure out how to get that icon off the screen at some point. But she works with us and she's wonderful. So if you want to meet her, she's right there. My name is Simon Jennings. I am the CRO at Pelmorex. It is my privilege to, there she is, now she's gone, to welcome you all and to thank you. This is our opportunity to thank you all for your partnership, your continued support this year, and I would extend it to over the last couple of years while we've been going through this crazy pandemic. I love the fact that we have found different ways that we can get together and still chat and enjoy each other's company. And today enjoy a box full of delicious food and a great speaker to walk us through everything about what's in that box. Also, just quickly want to thank my team who has pulled this all together and got all of these huge crates of food out to everybody's house in time. So thank you very much on that. I get to introduce our speaker today, Afrim Christine. I was checking around my table to see if anyone had even heard of the Cheese Boutique, and virtually everybody had intimate knowledge of the Cheese Boutique. So I don't have to explain to you how wonderful an experience the store is. It has I had nothing to do with the setup or choosing of this, but it has personal, I love the store. My kids kind of grew up in the store. They called it Hogwarts because everything was magical. Everywhere you look is beautiful. It makes a foodie excited. It makes a non-foodie want to be a foodie. You just feel the passion and love of food in this store when you go in. If you haven't been, it's in the South Kingsway. You go up South Kingsway off the lakeshore and go in, I believe it's Ripley, or come down from Bloor. Anyways, enough of that. I get to introduce Afrim Christine. He is the owner of the Cheese Boutique. It is a family business. It's been operating for 50 years. He is the third generation to now take over and run the store. I'm going to read a little bit here only because I'm afraid I'm going to screw up some of the key points in the bio because they're French. But Afrim is the only Canadian to receive what's called the Maître Fromager, which loosely translated or directly translated, I think, is Master of Cheese. When he was awarded the honor, I believe he was the youngest person in the world to be given this distinction. On top of that, Afrim also is the youngest Canadian recipient to receive what is called the Chevalier, which is a distinction from the Confrérie de Chevalier de Taste Fromage de France. It was a title that was he received in 2007 and was upgraded to the Officier du Fromage in April 2010. Closer to home, Afrim was awarded he's one of the top 30 under 30 in the food industry in Ontario. He is a published author. He has a television show or had a television show on Food TV. He's a frequent guest on programs, morning show programs. You'll read about him in magazines. He's worked with some of the top chefs in Canada, including folks like Bocconcini and McEwen. He's traveled the world. He's studied with master cheesemakers globally. He is deathly afraid of mayonnaise, and he's colorblind. So he's got those two things going for him. I think Afrim's probably going to walk us through a lot more about everything else that's happened in his life in a better way than I'm going to. So I'm not sure how to pass this over to him, but I am now passing this over to Afrim Christine.
Hi, Simon.
There he is.
Everyone's me there. That was one heck of an intro, because I'll tell you, my bio definitely doesn't mention my hatred and fear of mayonnaise and I'm colorblind. So I don't know where you got that. But
I spent a lot of time in your story yesterday just asking questions.
Okay, it's they're both very true. So thank you, Simon. And it's funny. Simon, I mean, has been shopping at the store for I want to say decades now. And he was in the shop on Sunday when we were making these kits, and he introduced himself like formally as, "Hey, I'm Simon. I mean, we're doing this thing with the Weather Network." And I was like, "Okay, now I can put a face to it." And my brother, I was giving a class yesterday, Simon, when you came in, and you had spoken to my brother, and my brother called me like, "That good client with the goatee, he's in here." so that's how we refer to you, is the good client with the goatee.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for that great intro, Simon. So the whole Cheese Master thing, it's a thing, right? So I received it when I was 33, the youngest to get it, the only Canadian. There's 50 of us. Think of me as like a cheese Jedi, like the Elton John of cheese. I was knighted, like that's kind of what it means. I was knighted by the French government, which I'm very proud to say, actually. And the Cheese Boutique was started in 1970 from my father and grandfather's family, that side of the family. And my mom came in a couple years later when my dad and mom married, and we started the Cheese Boutique was started on a $500 loan from the Bank of Canada. And we came here as immigrants, no investors, none of that. Like, we're old school. And my dad traveled all over Europe and lived all over Europe. He speaks 6 different languages fluently. He's the smartest person I've ever met. And he opened that business literally not knowing anything about cheese, other than, he liked to eat it. Frankly, that was it. And in 1970, we opened up something called the Cheese Boutique. It was 500 square feet, smaller than my kitchen here. And it was in the heart of Bloor West Village, so a little north of where we are now. And, in that time, there was no cheese shop in the heart of Bloor West Village. There was a butcher, there was a baker, there was a shoemaker, there was a hair salon, like all the little like mom and pop independent stores, very European feel. It's still kind of there. And there was no cheese shop, and they lived around the corner, and they went all in on opening up something called the Cheese Boutique. And they did that for literally one reason, was to provide for their family. That was it. And the ingredients that you have in front of you, I have a very different love affair with cheese than most, because this gave me everything and provided for my family and put food on my table. And it's kind of a special relationship I have with cheese. I owe everything I have to cheese and to my family, and all the sacrifices that my family have gone through for my brothers and I, for the grandkids that are working at the Cheese Boutique. As Simon mentioned, I'm 3rd generation. The 4th generation is working. My niece and my nephew, they're 20 and 22 years old. And, I'm proud of what we've done. We turned 51 this past June. And, in this day and age of, COVID or not, I mean, it's a very interesting time in the world where, retail is not easy. And, places like Walmart and places like Costco are selling great cheese, frankly. And, I even think Canadian Tire is selling cheese. I don't know, maybe, who knows? But regardless, I mean, for a small business like us to survive is a miracle, frankly. And I'm proud to say that, like, in this climate, in this economic climate, we're not just surviving, we're thriving. And I knock on wood. I'm proud to say that because we work hard, and my family and I, we work hard. The 100 staff and the 100 employees we have at Cheese Boutique are part of my extended family, and I love them and adore them. And I can't do Zoom classes like this, or write a cookbook, or I have a TV show on the Food Network, which Simon mentioned. I can't do any of that without the amazing ingredients you see in front of you and the people that work beside me. And that's the kind of people we are. I mean, we're honest, humble people. And, you know, Dad taught me that my dad taught me about business. He taught me about cheese. We've been on numerous trips together, you know, milking goats, sheep, and cows and working on farms. And, you know, those are some of the best moments of my life, are working alongside my father, my mother, and my brother still to this day. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say that, you know, it's special to be a part of something that's bigger than you as an individual. And, you know, Cheese Boutique will always supersede Afrim Pristine. And that will always be the case because I love that place. And, you know, it's good food and good service. And that's who we are, ultimately. We're old school. But, you know, we like to bring a new school attitude. And, you know, in this day and age of Instagram and social media and trends and all that, our job is to make people happy. That is it, right? Like, you know, doctors do what they do. And, you know, what you guys do is what you guys do, and lawyers do what they do, and all of that. And I've realized my role in life is to make people happy, very simply. And I do that with food, and especially the stuff that you guys see in front of you today. So I'm going to start and really get into it. And, you know, so when we booked this, and I've done a lot of virtual classes. We had one for Pfizer last night, and a couple like Google and you know, all those amazing companies, and the Weather Network. And I was asked to theme this, you know, picking the cheeses and the menus with a weather kind of theme. And I said, that's the first time I've ever been asked that. And but I tried, and I think I did okay, and you'll see why. Because there's a story behind every cheese, and I'm going to tell you those stories. And there are a couple of these are weather related. It was actually cool. It was a cool challenge, so I appreciate it. All right, so I appreciate the challenge. Okay, we're going to start. And you know, this is a pretty cool kit. I mean, there's a lot in here. They went all out for you guys. You know, you got my national best-selling cheese focused cookbook I wrote a couple of years ago called For the Love of Cheese, 75 recipes, a really fun kind of cheese 101 section, and a history of my family. Like, I gave you about 2 minutes. It's deep and it runs like long, and it's, you know, 50 years. It's all in there. You guys have that. And, you know, with leftover cheese, which you'll have today, there you go. Just pop this thing open and pick a recipe to cook with. This is something very special and very current. You're literally one of the few and first people to have my wine. And, you know, growing up, a goal of mine was two goals of mine, to be on the Jimmy Fallon show. That hasn't happened yet, but, you know, I'm still young. Maybe it can happen. All right. Who knows? And to have my own name on my bottle of wine. And that's what this is. So, Pristine Cuvée, 2019 Cab Franc from Stratus Vineyard in Ontario. One of my favorite wineries. And, like, this is my wine. And I designed this wine and made this to be consumed with pretty much everything you have here. All right. So all the cheeses and cured meats. It's an amazing wine. What time is it? Like 12:15? Fantastic. Open up the wine. Okay. Go for it. Whether I know you or I don't, you deserve it. So just go for it. Do it. We're going to have some fun. Pristine Cuvée. Honest, you can't get this at the LCBO. You can only get it, not even at my store. You can get it at Stratus Vineyard. That's it. We produced 3,500 bottles, but I wanted to make sure I made this kit very special for you guys. It'll be available in the new year in the LCBO. You guys got that. A gift card, I think. Yeah, $25 gift card and a wood board. Like, this is Merry Christmas to everybody here. That's a good kit. Okay, Alex, come say hi. This is Alex. Yeah, you're only going to see his hand, no more.
I'm your right hand.
Yeah, he's my right hand. So Alex is like a brother to me, very, very valued employee, over 20 years. I don't know how to do this computer stuff. That's why he's here. So there's a chat room here. All right, I see a question coming in. What's my favorite cheese and why? I will definitely answer that at the end, okay? Alex, remind me. So any questions, please shoot them in to the chat room, and Alex will read them out to me. And we're going to start, okay? We are going to start 6 cheeses, 4 meats, a bunch of garnish to get through. I'll talk about 2 cheeses. We'll get into some of the garnishes, and we're going to start. We're going to build a beautiful board. And you know, I'm very confident in saying that you literally have some of the world's best cheese in front of you. And I wanted to select some pretty cool, very seasonal, you know, weathery kind of inspired cheese. So we're starting off with this guy here, right? It's called Chèvre de Fleur, goat with flowers. So this comes from the Loire Valley of France. All right. And the producer, if you look on the package there, Pierre Jacquin is arguably one of the best cheesemakers in the world from the Loire Valley of France, one of my mentors. And Simon kind of mentioned, I've traveled the world making cheese with the best of the best. This gentleman is one of them. And, you know, he's like the Tom Brady of cheesemakers. He's the best, all right? And goat's milk from the Loire Valley. And the Loire Valley is a very interesting place for cheese because it's kind of the birthplace of goat's milk cheeses like this, where they're like creamy and luscious, right? Like goat's milk cheese, if you go to a grocery store and, you know, it comes in like a log and it's like stark white and it's lovely, right? Like it's just like crumbly, goes good on a salad. This is, you know, a sophisticated, like, a lot of finesse, handmade version of that. All right. Very young, very youthful. This is 21 days old. It's very young. And it's coated in different flowers and herbs that grow on the farm where this cheese is produced. The goats that live on this farm, that produce this milk, are literally eating everything that you see that's covered on this goat cheese. This is a very good example of terroir, right? Like it's just like, that's what this region smells like, tastes like, and looks like in a cheese form. It's lovely. Smell that. So God blessed me with a nose. Okay, I'm gonna be in profile. Like, I can smell like a Wolverine. Like I walk into my store. My store is big. It's 12,000 square feet. The minute I walk in, I know what cheese is on the counter. It's crazy. Like this, it was like I was destined to be a cheesemonger, right? Like just to smell. It's important to smell cheeses because when you get really good at it, you'll be able to understand what that cheese tastes like just from the smell. I smell the flowers. I smell like the nuttiness of like all the herbs, spices, and the flowers that are on this cheese. And it's just pretty too, right? Just like lovely and pretty. Lovely. Just easy. Just, you don't even have to cut this thing. You don't want to ruin the presentation until you put your knife in it and just like go to town on it. Please eat, drink. We're going to be merry here today. Yeah, it's lovely. It's called Tome de Fleur, made by Pierre Jacquin in the Loire Valley. Awesome. The mildest cheese that we're going to start off with is what we're starting off with. We're going to go from mildest to like boldest flavor. All right. Lovely cheese. I'll get into some of the garnish so you guys can have some of that. This is a lavender infused honey, which we make at the store. So the honey comes from Rosewood Estates Winery, another great winery in Niagara. And we infuse it with Provence lavender. So it's very like fruity. It's very floral. It's very herbaceous. I love lavender. It's very calming. It's very soothing. Like rub this on your temples and you'll sleep like a baby. I don't know. Actually, don't do that. It might be weird, but just I love lavender. So this is a great kind of ingredient to go with cheese. And to be honest, this on the first cheese is lovely because there's some lavender that's rolled in that goat cheese. Lavender infused honey. a box of flatbreads. Everyone got a box. These are made in Vaughan, Ontario, and it's a family business. They do all different styles. So like, I think we carry 6 or 7 different styles of them. I switched it up for everyone because I like to be, I'm like that. I like to switch it up a little bit. So throw some of those flatbreads on your board, which you are gifted here. Okay. Very cool ingredient. For those of you who like drinking a Manhattan, these are those little like preserved Italian cherries that go in a Manhattan. Smell those. This is very Christmassy. These are Amarena cherries. So they're preserved red sour cherries from Italy and preserved in amaretto and a syrup. It's wicked. You can definitely throw them in cocktails, but they go really well with cheese. And some of the bigger, bolder cheeses we're going to have, the blue and the aged Gouda a little later on is going to work lovely with these Amarena cherries. They're kind of like sweet and savory a little bit, right? Amaretto is a liqueur that is it's extracted from almonds, so you get that kind of nuttiness from the almonds. Amarena cherries, put that in a little like ramekin. Do I have a ramekin here? Probably. Yeah, put some of those in a ramekin here. Put them on your board. They're lovely. And you know, I wanted to send something that you guys can use up over the holidays. So save some for some cocktails. They're wicked. Then you have a bruschetta mix. So it's kind of like a bruschetta dip, which we make at the Cheese Boutique. You know, take one of those flatbreads, go right into that dip, just a little snack, right? Like what we're doing here is really making more than just a cheese board. We're making like a whole spread, right? Like we got cured meats. We have the bruschetta, which is going to work really nicely with the cured meats as well. Some of that bruschetta dip, throw that on your board, dip the flatbread into it. It's lovely. A little container of mixed olives. You know, I love olives. My wife cannot stand them. So, you know, like I got to bring these home right after this class is done because she doesn't want them in the house. But these are all like mixed olives. So Cerignola olives, the big green ones. The little guys are from France. They're called Niçoise olives. There's oven baked olives. There's probably like 5 or 6 different olives in here. Put those in a little bowl. Just snack on them with the wine and the cheese and the meat. And this is lovely. Something I didn't, and I'm making the call here, is nobody has to work for the rest of the day. If I have the authority or not, it's too bad, Simon. I'm giving everyone the day off. So you are going to have your board. You got your wine. I'm giving everyone the day off. That's it. I've decided. All right. So for garnish, that's everything. So you got the olives, the flatbread, the bruschetta mix, the lavender honey, and the Amarena cherries. We're going to continue. We're going to go to Spain next. And this is a cheese called Iberico with olive oil. Smell that one too. This is very like fresh tasting. It's sheep's milk. All right. So there's a little bit of cow's milk in here too, but it's predominantly sheep's milk. There's a very iconic Spanish cheese called Manchego, right? I'm sure we've all had Manchego before. It's lovely. And you know what Parmigiano Reggiano is to Italy, Manchego and Iberico, this cheese, is to Spain. Very important cheese. But what's cool is that it's rubbed in olive oil. It's rubbed in Spanish olive oil. I like to cut this into like nice little like wedges, like so. And it's really lovely. You can eat the whole cheese. The rind, well, there's actually no rind. They rub the edge of the cheese in Spanish olive oil, and that really infuses into the cheese. That fruitiness you're going to get from the cheese. The slight saltiness is because of that olive oil rub onto the cheese. Iberico with olive oil. This cheese will go really nicely with the cured meats. It's a little salty. It's a little tangy. It's absolutely lovely. All right. So you got the Iberico with olive oil, a fairly youthful cheese. So the first cheese is about 3 weeks or so. The second cheese here that we're having is a little older. It's like 3 to 4 months, but still fairly youthful in the whole cheese world. Like we have some cheeses here that are years old, but it's kind of the special thing about cheese. that a cheese is older than one to the next, it doesn't make the cheese better, okay? Cheese is just different, right? Some cheeses need to be young. They need to be youthful. Some cheeses need to be aged. It's a lot like wine. This wine right here, 2019, honestly, is amazing at 2 or 3 years. The older it gets, it just changes and it evolves into something else. I want this wine to be fruity. I want you to taste the grape here, okay? So, very young cheese. There's a question.
For those with an allergy, like an egg allergy, is there in the Iberico cheese any egg enzyme?
No egg enzyme. The only thing in here is milk, salt, and the olive oil. That is it, and a bit of rennet. And rennet is a liquid or a powdered ingredient that you add to milk to make milk cheese. It's just like it's a coagulant, but no egg anything on the cheeses or the cured meats or any of the garnishes. That dessert I sent you right here, the panettone, will have egg. Okay, we're gonna continue. So let's do a meat. Let's do 2 cured meats. All right, here we go, is the Milano salami. This is like my youth. Okay, my mom is Southern Italian. She's from Naples, and when I grew up, I didn't have ham and cheese sandwiches. I didn't have turkey and cheddar sandwiches as a kid at lunch. I had Milano salami, provolone, and roasted red pepper paninis. And the kids would make fun of me. Totally, that's weird. Like, what is that, right? And it was that. But now those kids, the same kids as adults, are buying the same stuff. They're buying that Milano salami. They're buying that provolone. So this is just a really simple, mild-mannered salami that actually kids adore. No nitrates, no preservatives, no gluten in here, no egg. Just good old-fashioned Italian salami. I love this stuff. You can just eat it with the flatbreads like all day long. Very simple, not complicated. Lovely. Okay. We're going to continue. We're on a roll. Yes, Alex, there's a question.
Tips for cutting cheese that's at room temperature.
So I have we have 6 different cheeses here. We're going to cut each one in a different way, or we're not going to cut it. It depends on the style of the cheese. And when you cut the cheese, honestly, there's no real rule to it. But certain textures like this, like the creamy ones, don't cut them. Leave them on your board, put a little cheese knife beside it, and let the guest discover how to cut that. Something creamy should just be left on the board in its entirety so you can see the presentation. Then the firmer cheeses, I'm going to show you, I'm going to cut them in each a different way. And I do that to show each cheese love and to show each cheese respect. Because sometimes cheeses do look similar, right? Not so much in our case, but in general. Sometimes they do look similar, one to the next. So if you cut them differently, you're showcasing each cheese on its own. That's a goal that you should always kind of think of when you're plating your cheese. This Iberico, I kind of cut into triangles. I'm not going to cut another one of our cheeses like this. We're going to cube it. We're going to chunk it up. I will show you, okay? We're going to prosciutto. Who doesn't love prosciutto? All right. So this is something always to look for. I'm going to get up close and personal here. Prosciutto di Parma. Okay. So Parma is a town in the region of Emilia-Romagna, northern Italy. Probably some of the most famous prosciutto in the world comes from this area. But something very important you always want to see is, you see this acronym DOP? You always want to look for that on prosciutto and on certain Italian cheeses. What that translates to, it's an acronym, it translates to the denomination of originality for protection. That is a government body in Italy from the European Union. So it starts with the European Union and then is governed specifically in Italy on products, on food products. It kind of means if it ain't broke, don't fix it. How prosciutto is made today has to be made the same way 40 years ago and has to be made the same way 40 years from now. It's It's a sign of quality. It's a sign that not every prosciutto is DOP. Only a handful of producers are. And it's just made in the traditional, authentic way. That's really what it means. So this one is from Parma. So, and what prosciutto is, so always look for that. And you'll see that on Italian wines as well. In France, the acronym in France is AOC, means really the same thing. Okay, so prosciutto is pardon my French, but the butt of the pig. Okay, so the butt all the way down the leg. And that is salted, it's peppered on both sides, and it's air cured. That's it. It's not cooked, it's not smoked, it's not baked. It's simply air cured. It ages like cheese does. And this one in particular, because it's DOP, has to be aged 24 months in Italy. It's aged 24 months in Italy, and then it's sliced like that, or you can get the whole legs. Either way, it's awesome. I call it meat silk because that's kind of what it is. And you know, I want to talk about that fat cap. That fat cap, you want to eat that. That's like the tastiest part of this. And when you get nicely sliced prosciutto like this, like I can see Alex, it's so thin. I could see Alex. When you get thinly sliced prosciutto like this, it should just melt on your palate. The warmth of your mouth will just like soften it, and it should just melt away. That's when you know you have a really good quality prosciutto. The only ingredients are pork and salt, and in that order. Very little salt is used. It's lovely. It's just like, you know, one of those things I also grew up with. I mean, obviously with an Italian mother, but prosciutto rocks. Like, I love prosciutto. All right. So we're going to have that. Again, aged 24 months, DOP, government regulated, like serious the stuff over here. All right. That's enough. And I think we should go right into the next meat because I kind of want you to do a side-by-side comparison. We're going to go to this guy here with speck. So speck is kind of like prosciutto, but it's smoked. So it's a little different. It's the same part of the pig. It's the leg. It's salted, peppered, and cured like prosciutto. But over the last 3 months of its curing process, the aging process, it's smoked. So if you smell that, you will find a nice, interesting, natural smokiness to it. It's because it is smoked. It looks like prosciutto. It tastes like prosciutto. It's a little different though. It's smoky. I love speck. So there's something, there's a beautiful cured meat that you can find in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland called Schinkenspeck. And Schinkenspeck is kind of like this. And you know, where this is made in Alto Adige. So Alto Adige is the town where this is, where it comes from. It's very northern Italy, literally bordering Germany. This is very Germanic influence. Speck is not an Italian sounding name. It's very Germanic. So it's really Germans living in Italy, bringing their food ideas and food ideologies like speck, but using Italian ingredients. It's for me, it's like the best of both worlds, right? It's just like two beautiful food cultures combining into making something so special. I love speck. I don't want to say I prefer it to prosciutto, but have them side by side. And you see that there are similarities to it, but there are differences as well. If you have some of this left over and you'd like to make homemade pizza, you make like a no sauce, okay? So just like make your dough, olive oil, arugula, speck, and aged balsamic vinegar is like a classic combination. It's so good. Speck's amazing. You can throw it into a pasta to really bring or like add smokiness to the whole pasta. I love speck. Okay. I know it's early, but it's like my thing. It's like a good luck charm that I have to have a touch of vodka while I do these classes. It was early today, everybody. It was like I started like at 11:45. So cheers to everybody. Okay. Next, we're gonna go to France. We're gonna go to Normandy. All right. So We're going to go to Normandy with the Camembert. All right. Here we go. This is a classic French cheese. I mean, Camembert is so iconic in France. This is meaty. This is aromatic. Smell that. Like for me, you get like funk. You get like black truffles or like mushrooms, like earthiness. It's fantastic. Like maybe top 3 most important cheeses made in France, maybe top 2, like iconic coming from Normandy. And this is made the classic way. It's AOC controlled, government controlled. It's made with unpasteurized Normandy cow's milk. And like just a beautiful cheese, very different than everything we're having. Really like the first creamy one that we're having. All right. And like, I want you to feel that texture, right? That's like perfectly ripened right now. This is, so all the cheeses you see here and all the cheeses at the store, which are 550-ish or so, we age in 3 different aging rooms. This ages for about 75 days. How I like to cut this is very simple. I like to make a little triangle, almost like a Pac-Man, okay? And I got this little wedge here. So when you place it on the board, really, you're showing your guests like just like so, right? Like you're just like so. So you can see the insides of the cheese. It's lovely, right? Like it's very important. You see the rind, you see the inside. I saw a question earlier. Can you eat the rind on this? Absolutely, you can. And to be perfectly honest, I actually think it's slightly important to eat the rind because the rind is completely different from the insides of the cheese and vice versa. You will find the rind is a little stronger, a little bolder, a little funkier. It almost has like a pleasant bitterness to it. This is considered, all right, up close and personal again. So this is considered a bloomy rind cheese. That's the family. What does that mean? So from its birth, from day one, the cheese was this texture inside, creamy, all right? The rind blooms from the first 60 days of its life. If you were to look at this cheese, this is now about 75 days. If you were to look at it at 45, 30, and 15 days, each one of those time periods, it'll look like a completely different cheese and it'll taste like a completely different cheese. It's kind of the magic of cheese aging. Bloomy rind cheese. Now, if there's someone here who says, Afrim, the rind is too much for me, no problem. God bless you. Nobody's perfect. Quite all right. Trim the rind off and just eat the insides of the cheese. I am not one for, I ain't pretentious, believe me. And, for me, I actually dislike immensely rules when it comes to food. It bothers me because my palate is no better than anyone else's here. Not at all. It might be a little bit more trained because this is what I do for a living, but my palate is no better than anyone else's here. So if you find that, the rind is too much, not a problem. Just trim it off and have the insides because it's much milder than the rind. Okay? Lovely. We shall continue. We have 2 more meats or 1 more meat. Okay, let's go to England. All right. England. This is like a very classic, iconic cheese, especially at this time of year, right? We have it's beautiful. Smell that too. That bright orange color is natural. It comes from annatto seed, A-N-N-A-T-O. The annatto, it's a seed that when you cook it, it extracts this orange liquid naturally. And that's what's added, that liquid, into the milk for this cheese to have the color that it does. It's natural. This is kind of in the cheddar family. It's called Red Leicester. Leicester is the town in England it comes in. And, the English do this style of cheese very well. They do the cheddars and the Wensleydales and the Leicesters, like that firm aged, like sharp, nutty cheese and the textures. England does very well. And what you don't see here, you can see on the rind It's like slightly discolored. There's almost like there's a cloth on it. That is a cloth. This is a cloth bound cheese. So this is like a small piece. It's like 200 grams. The wheels are fairly big. They're like 10 pounds. And they're made and they're aged and they're wrapped in cloth, like cheesecloth. Because over the aging process, this is about 18 months. This ages in a cave for 18 months. And when you have a cloth bound cheese, it's real, it's organic. The other way to age a cheese like this is to vacuum seal it. Like I sent you the cheese, it was vacuum packed. You could vacuum seal this wheel and put it to age. For me, it's kind of cheating. It's not, the cheese isn't properly aging when that's the case, because there's that vacuum seal. The insides of the cheese, yeah, it's getting older, but the whole cheese needs to sit in the environment in which it's going to age in. It has to feel the environment. By doing a cloth that's very thin, that's real, that's organic. That is the cheese evolving and living. Cheese is a living thing, right? Think of, I don't know, if we put a bag, okay, so the cloth bound and then there's a vacuum pack. And you can get red Leicester done both ways. This is the real deal right here. Very expensive, much more time consuming to age a cheese in cloth. It's much more expensive, but it's like aging. It's like putting a bag over your head. We're not going to do so well either, right? Putting a bag over a cheese, you're honestly suffocating its life. Like you're not really letting it live. Now, once a cheese is cut like this way, this cheese isn't aging anymore, right? This cheese I sent you in the vacuum pack, they're not aging anymore. I've taken them out of their original environment. Their original environment was a full wheel. This cheese is not aging. This bottle of wine that I've taken the cork out, that's not aging anymore, this wine. Even if it's sitting on my counter for 3 more years, this is not aging. Once you take the cork out of a bottle of wine, it stops aging. Once you pull a wedge out of a wheel of cheese, it is not aging anymore. Okay, red Leicester, it's wicked. It's like, it's very buttery. Like it's got a really interesting texture and flavor, but it's very like buttery. It's old, but it doesn't feel old on your like palate. It's very interesting. It's really the milk fat. The milk fat is very high on a cheese like this. I'm not even going to cut that. You see, like this is a cheese. It's just a nice little wedge. You can just leave it just on your board like that. How I would kind of chip it off is like this. I'll show you, because I like doing that. Alex, can you take the camera, just come a little closer here? So I would honestly just like leave it on your board, just like so, kind of like the goat cheese, and just leave a knife beside it and let the guest do it. And honestly, just like rustic chunks, just like that. This is the knife that I think I bought from Winners. Okay, it's cheap. You don't need anything crazy fancy. Look, if you have beautiful cheese knives, God bless you. I love you for it. But cheese is going to taste the same with no matter what you cut it with. That I can promise you. Just nice rustic chunks all the way to the end, because that is all cheese. I have removed that cloth. So to cut this wheel of cheese, you have to remove the cloth. I love these little like cheese nuggets, right? Like it's beautiful. Beautiful. It's rustic. Cheese is made with 2 hands. Cut it like you cut it so it looks like it's made with 2 hands. That's what I've done here. I got these little cheese nuggets, these little red Leicester nuggets, which are tasty. Enjoy that. All right. Beautiful. Just going to give a little wipe here. Okay, we are on a roll, everybody. We're on a roll here. Let's go to the last cured meat here, is the truffle salami. So this is a sausage that's made for us. It's produced in Italy. It's made for us. Give it a smell. You will smell that truffle flavor. This is infused with black truffles. This comes from Veneto in northern Italy. Veneto is home of amazing food and drinks, Aperol Spritz, Amarone wine, lots of good cheeses. Polenta is known for in Veneto. It's amazing. So what you do, okay, there's a casing here. There's a lot of this sausage. It'll keep till New Year's. It'll keep till 2022, everybody. I cut it in half, okay? I cut it in half, and just with like the blade of your knife, and you'll need a little sharper knife for this, you just score it. You don't even have to cut it, just score it all the way down. And there, that casing will come off nice and easily, just like so, okay? Just score it all the way down. The casing will come off, and you just slice it. And this one, you want to slice it as thin as you can. I mean, we're cutting it by hand, so as thin as you can, okay? But even if it's like that, I kind of like that because it's got some chew to it, right? I love that. All right. Oh my God, it smells so good. A very different sausage than everything we've had here. Very different cured meat than everything we've had here. Truffle infused. It's pork, salt, white wine, salt, pepper, and black truffles. Only ingredients in here. No nitrates, no preservatives. Lovely. You know what you can do with this when you have some left over is, that's good for me, is cut them into pieces like that, okay? You put them in a frying pan on like medium heat, no oil or butter, nothing, because the natural fat from the sausage will come out and it'll get like nice and crispy, and you can drop like 2 eggs, just crack 2 eggs into your pan with the sausage. It's wicked. Maybe grate some of this cheese here on there too. Sausage and truffle and eggs is like the holy trinity of food, unless you're allergic to eggs. But it's really, really tasty. It's a really versatile sausage is really kind of my point. To put this in a pasta sauce, like to crisp it up and put in a pasta sauce is awesome. That is the truffle infused salami. All right, next. This is where I try to bring in the last 2 cheeses here is where I try to bring in some weather inspired, you know, things. Here we go. You're going to like this. Next cheese is Blackout. All right. So this is the story behind this cheese. Smell that too. It's crazy. It's intense. This is going to be the most intense, most complex cheese that we've had so far today. Crazy. It's like salted butterscotch. Like it's crazy. In 2013, we had the blackout here in Toronto, in certain parts of Ontario. All right. And it was summer. I think it was summer. And this is the cheese. So to take a step back from there, this recipe I developed at the Van de Stier Group. And the Van de Stier Group is an amazing world-renowned dairy in Holland. I was there when I was probably 23, 24. I was there for 3 months on the farm, making cheese, the works. And I developed this recipe with the head cheesemaker there. And they make it exclusively for us. So it's 2013. We have this blackout in Toronto. Cheese Boutique was without power for 3 days. And there was just crazy wind. And the wind knocked out some transformer that was down the road. 3 days we were without power. And, you know, due to that weather, that crazy weather we had, there was rain and the works. It was brutal. I'm sure some of you remember, okay? There was another one a few years later during Christmas, I think, because we closed then too. So we're closed for 3 days. And I'll never forget, I mean, Cheese Boutique never closes. Like, we're closed 3 days of the year. And my brother and I, and like a few of our key staff, we literally stood outside and like just gave people bread or, you know, like some cheese or whatever. We didn't, you know, if you can't take money, you can't be in business, right? So we're just outside and we're just kind of handing stuff out to our customers, like the hundreds that came into the store and wanted to shop, but we're closed. There was a moment where I went in and, you know, I'll never forget, I was with my BlackBerry. I still had a BlackBerry at the time. and I went into the cheese cave and I decided to do inventory. So I went in there with my BlackBerry, put the flashlight on, and I'm doing inventory. And I fall across a whole whack load of these wheels. And they're big wheels. They're like 25 pounds. And at the time, this has been aging for years. This has been aging for 5 years. I completely forgot about this cheese. This is 100% truthful story. So I'm in the cave, blackout. We're not open. I'm there, crazy weather outside. I'm there with my BlackBerry flashlight doing inventory. I come across, I think it was like 10 wheels. And it was like the eureka moment of my life. I took these wheels out, just busted them open, cut them open, tried this thing. And I'm like, holy Jesus, this is fantastic. And it was 5 years old. The cheeses have been sitting in there and I completely forgot about them. Hence the name Blackout. That's 100% true. And you know, it's now become like one of our best sellers. It's amazing. You never know. Cheese is very accidental that way. Blue cheese, which we're going to have next, was made by accident. Cheese was, to be honest, was made by accident hundreds and thousands of years ago. It was milk gone bad, but you know, they had to eat something back then, so they ate it and they said, wow, that's pretty good. It's fermented milk. That's what cheese is. Blackout. Weather, there you go. I incorporated it into cheese. There we go. Thank you. If it was you guys who created that weather, I don't know how it works. Thank you very much because you created this cheese. There you go. Blackout. It's wicked. What I like to do with this, Alex, can you come back here? So how I like to cut this one, because that has been a question here. It's very hard, right? Like it's 5-year-old cheese. That's hard. That is hard wax. That is now 5 years old. You can see the cheese, right? It's very dry on the end. You see those white specks? People think that's salt. That is not salt. I want to see myself, Alex. Jesus. Okay. That is not salt. Those white specks is calcium. So cheese is made with milk, like obviously the predominant ingredient. So over time of age, those pockets of the calcium get bigger and bigger and bigger. The Italians, they call it grana. The English, it translates to grainy, which doesn't sound so romantic, but grana is really good. If we were to have this cheese at a year old, those white specks would be smaller. They form and crystallize over time. The cheese technical term is called tyrosine. Okay, come back, Alex. So what I like to do with this, you leave it on its side like that and just chunk it up all along the rind, rustic chunks like we're talking about, all right? Don't cut yourself. Go slow, everybody. Go slow. I've given you the day off, so just take it easy, all right? And I just go and take as much cheese off as I can, all right? I'm left with this. This is called a cheese heel. That's the term in the lingo in the industry. This is tons of flavor. There's a little bit more cheese, which I can scrape off, but this is all flavor. This is a 5-year-old cheese. Yes, this is wax, but it's now like cheese wax. Put this in a tomato sauce. Put this in a chicken stock or vegetable stock, whatever. Put this in a soup. There is so much flavor to this. Do not waste that. Keep that. Okay? Tomato sauce, stock, whatever. So much flavor. If you have a dog, freeze this and give it to your dog. You will not see your dog for an hour. Promise you. Yeah, my dog's just laying just like that. There you go. Say hi, Simone. Hi, Simone. Okay. So don't get her all riled up, Alex. Jesus, now she's going to come and be a monster. Here. So beautiful. But what I like to do with the plating of this, I want to use it during the plating. I put that. Come back, Alex. Jeez. He's playing Scrabble over here. I'm not even kidding. He's playing Scrabble. You see, I caught you. Okay, so with this wax, you leave it there. And just like these nuggets again that we made, just cradle them into this rind. It looks beautiful. And then you can tell the story and tell your guests what to do with this wax. It's lovely. It's real. We can see what the cheese looks like. Okay. That is the blackout. One more cheese. This is very special. Okay. I'm sure. So how many people on this thing? 120 something?
125.
125. Okay. So statistically, there's 12.5 of you that do not like blue cheese. It's a stat. Stats are real, everybody. So for the half person, that's weird because there's no half people. That's how stats go. All right. So there's thumbs up coming. I don't know if they are blue cheese lovers or not. So This is the thing. They like blue cheese. Okay. So do I. So do I. I love blue cheese. I actually think about blue cheese a lot. I'm having fun. This is fun. The food's got to be fun. Alex is playing Scrabble. You know, he's having a great time over here. And so we're here with the blue cheese. So 12.5 of you don't love blue, but do me a favor. Just do me a solid. Will you just try it? Just try a touch of it. Have some with the lavender honey. Have some with the flatbread. Have some with those Amarena cherries. Just a little. If you like Afrim, this is disgusting. I hate you for making me eat this. I'm sorry, and I apologize. But you tried it, and I'm happy. Okay? Nobody's perfect. But for the blue cheese lover, this is special. The Roaring 40s Blue. You want to talk about weather-inspired cheese. This is it. This comes from Tasmania. Okay? It's the 40th. I can't remember if it's latitude or longitude, or I don't know which one it is. But it lies on the 40th degree where this cheese is made at King Island Dairy. King Island Dairy, iconic dairy in that part of the world in Tasmania, right in between like New Zealand and Australia. Some of the roughest waters in the world, some of the roughest weather in the world. You guys, I ain't making this up. You know what I'm talking about. This is true. They call this cheese Roaring 40s because of how terrible the weather is there. I couldn't have nailed the weather-inspired cheese challenge more than this cheese. This is very hard to get. Very hard to get. Very little. Tasmania is a small place at the end of the day. And think of where it is in relation to Canada. It's the other end of the world. It's impossible to get. Very hard to get. If we get like 10 wheels a year, I'm happy. I'm not even exaggerating. If anyone came to the cheese boutique and asked for Roaring 40s, it ain't happening. I literally took 4 wheels or 5 to do this class with, but I needed this cheese. Like I ordered this months ago when I knew we were doing this. I needed this cheese. I said, I'm doing weather-related cheese seminar. I need Roaring 40s. It's true. Roughest waters in the world. It's brutal out there. The wind and the sleet and the hail and the, I don't know, whatever else. It's an awesome cheese though. King Island Dairy. They do 2 blue cheeses and a brie. I think that's it. Like very few, 4 or 5 cheeses. And look, in terms of intensity for maybe the non-blue cheese people, it's like a 7 out of 10. You know, look, a blue cheese should like rip your taste buds out in the best kind of way. It should be salty. It should be acidic. That's what this cheese is. Salty, acidic, super creamy, super buttery, lovely. I love it. It's cow's milk. It's so hard to get. I did everything I could to get it for this class. So like I worked. You guys made me work, but I freaking love it. I'm sorry for my French, but this excites me, this cheese, because it used to be a little bit more regularly available like 10 years ago. And just like it's small produced, it's far, but it's absolutely lovely. And you know, it's super creamy too. It like is probably even creamier than the brie that we have here, or the camembert, excuse me. but just like lovely. Like I just leave it there again with the knife because it's like so buttery, right? Like easy. It's like a hot knife through butter. Like that's so easy, right? Just on the flatbread, game over. Game over. Okay. Is that everything? Yeah, we'll do a recap, but that's everything, right? Yes. Okay. We started in France, in the Loire Valley, with the flour goat's milk cheese called Tome de Fleur. Then we have the Speck, smoked kind of prosciutto style, the Milano salami, the Amarena cherries, the Roaring 40s cow's milk blue from Tasmania, the cloth-bound red Leicester from England, the blackout Gouda, blackout, windy. I remember those days. Iberico with olive oil from Spain, sheep's milk, a little bit of cow's milk in there, the truffle-infused salami, the Normandy camembert, the prosciutto, like proper, like DOP, government-regulated prosciutto, flatbread, bruschetta mix, lavender honey. There you go. My cookbook, the wine, and I even sent dessert. This is my Italian roots. I had to send you a panettone. Come on. And this is the thing. Panettone is awesome. And, you can get crappy ones for sure. This is amazing. Meligatti is a producer, proper, authentic, like old family name and old family business for like decades and decades in Italy. They make amazing panettone. That's my gift to everybody because it's a bit of my Italian roots. It's not Christmas in my house without this. But you know what you do with this? Toast it. Toast it. You can even grill it. Put it on the barbecue. Have it with some cheese. So good. Okay, that's it. This is
your favorite cheese.
My favorite cheese, yeah. So, when I did this, I always have this phrase where, I like to make it rain cheese. Make it rain cheese for the Weather Network. I hope I did. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love what I do. I love this stuff. And remember, this gave me everything. And it's special, like all jokes aside and all that. Like this is, for me, the best food in the world. Like you guys got the same quantities as I did. There's enough food here for 6 people. And, I keep it for the holidays. And, the firmer cheeses will last. And the blue cheese is kind of indestructible. So that will last too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I like doing these things. And I like, apart from the blackout, I don't make these. I have, of course, but my job is to tell these people's story. And that's why I talked about all the people making this cheese. Like it's important. They don't have a platform like I do. They don't have an Instagram account like I do. They don't have a cheese store like I do. But the people who make the products that we all love put their heart into it. They don't do it to make millions. Believe me. Cheesemakers are honest, humble people. And, they do it because they love it. So, I hope you kind of got that from today was just, this is love right here. This is time. This is care. Cheeses are 30 days old. They're 5 years old. All of that. My favorite cheese. It's like, if you have 5 kids, you're going to tell me who your favorite kid is? I don't know, maybe. I don't know, maybe. That's hard. But I'm actually going to be bold and say blue cheese. Believe it or not, I love blue cheese. Like I want it all the time. I love it every day. I love goat cheese too. Like I love like the cheeses that just like are a punch in the face, like just like aggressive and like in your face, like just like make your eyes tear up. I love that kind of stuff. That's it, everybody.
The rest of the day off to drink wine and to eat cheese. So, have fun with that.
There were some questions in the chat.
Yeah. Alex?
Oh, some more ones.
He's too busy playing Scrabble.
No, I'm not.
I think he's playing Clue now. I don't know. It's possible.
To cover the storage.
Oh, yeah, the storage. Okay. Best way, the cured meats, other than that truffle salami, they're not going to last well, right? They're already sliced. They're going to start to curl up. So just eat them. Eat them tonight. Eat them tomorrow, and just enjoy them. The cheeses will last a while, okay? The best way to store these cheeses is 2 layers of protection. Parchment paper, okay? 1 layer of parchment paper, and then 1 layer on top of that of tin foil. Parchment paper and tin foil. That will let the cheese breathe, but isn't exposed to your fridge and to like all the air in your fridge. Saran wrap is fine for like a day or 2, but then after that, that cheese is going to taste like your fridge, and the fridge is going to taste like your cheese. It's fine for 2 days, saran wrap. Longer than that, parchment paper and tin foil. Do both of those. But you have 5 or 6 cheeses here, so just write on there with a Sharpie what it is, and you're good. Any other questions there?
Nope. We got one. Simon's.
I'm looking at the questions. That looks like that may be all of them. Afrim, thank you so much. This was awesome. I'd forgotten about the cheese cave. I was talking to one of the people at my table. I don't know if I said you're totally cool for anyone going there. I don't know if that's
Yeah. No, so we have 3 different aging rooms, but the cheese cave, the big one, is open to the public. I like to think of it as like a cheese museum. So you can definitely go in there, pull one of my great staff or me, I work every day, and just like pull us in there, and I'll show you around, and I'll show you where the blackout is, and no problem.
Awesome. All right. I think, Brittany, I don't know if is the instruction to go back to our tables, or what are we doing now? While we're waiting for that, again.
I think it's best because in the sake of time, if we just say thank you and end it off here.
Can I say one thing? Can I end with the same? These virtual classes, there's a lot of moving parts. And, there's 126 people from all over the country here, BC and Quebec and Ontario and all over. I got to tip my hat to Brittany, who really was kind of with me and like it's not easy. I'm telling you, these things aren't easy. And she was thorough and on top of it and very thoughtful, very careful. And I'm fairly organized. And thank you, Brittany, for all your help. Like this is a team effort. So yes, thank you. You were amazing.
I echo that, Brittany and team. I mean, great job. Okay, so here's one fun fact. When I was trying to figure out what a maître fromager was, I Googled it. And what I got on the Google result page was essentially Afrim and the cheese boutique. That's actually the Google. Without mentioning Afrim, without mentioning the cheese boutique, that's the actual result. You have arrived in your career when someone types in the general topic and you're what shows up. So, I'll
take it. We'll end it there because that is a pretty good closing remark.
We'll end it there. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks 100 of our partners and staff. What a great event. Thanks so much.